Baseball Tonight gives you a sign of the times. There was water everywhere and not a drop to drink. McDowell hopes his bullpen throws him a lifeline in Seattle. The Dodgers barely keeping their heads above water, yet they lead the West. While the best in the AL West is already under agua. This Marlin went sailing across the sea. The Blue Jays find themselves in a sink or swim situation, and the Padres are swimming for the shore. Baseball Tonight quenches your thirst. Next. Hi, welcome to the show along with Dave Campbell. I'm Chris Myers. That's not really all that important right now. What is important, though, is that you wait it up and you'll see all the highlights. In fact, Dave will be talking about two of the strongest hitting hands in all of baseball. First, it was Babe Ruth. Roger Maris could be next. It appears that only a strike could stop Ken Griffey Jr. He came into tonight's game against the White Sox with 32 home runs and is in line for a 70-homer season, also closing in on Reggie Jackson's record for most home runs hit before the All-Star break, that number being 37. White Sox and Mariners in the Kingdome. And Ken Griffey Jr. facing Jack McDowell with a runner out on the top of the first, and he goes down swinging. Then in the fourth, Griffey sends one deep the other way. Tim Raines back. Griff 0 for 2. The other matchup in this game, Randy Johnson facing Frank Thomas, who has 28 home runs. The outside fastball for the strikeout. Then in the fourth, looking on the inside fastball. Johnson wasn't perfect, though. Fifth inning, Karkovice, a 3-2 pitch. Over the wall in left center for a solo home run to give the White Sox a 2-0 advantage. Jack McDowell had a two-hitter going into the seventh inning as they play the eighth. 7 strikeouts at the last check for Randy Johnson. Thomas 0 for 3, Griffey 0 for 3, both of them a combined 5 strikeouts. And for McDowell and Johnson, it's you go your way, I'll go mine. From about the time that Randy had that discussion with Nolan Ryan, look what he's done, going 17-3 with an ERA of 2.77 compared to McDowell, who during that time had a convenience store record of 7-11. On to the Rangers and Angels in Anaheim. Top of the sixth, Mike Butcher and Rusty Greer. He lay there for a while, had to leave the game. Precautionary x-rays taken as he was taken to the hospital. 3 batters later, Rodriguez just out of the reach, and Odome McDowell, who was pinch running, scores to make it 6-5. Then 2 out and a runner at second. Tim Sam with a single. Juan Gonzalez throwing. Spike Owen hit it home. Watch Rodriguez at the plate, the way he blocks it, gets the ball and makes the tag for the out. Texas still with that 6-5 lead. On to the seventh, 2 out. Dean Palmer, a deep drive towards left center. His 9th home run of the year, a solo shot. Will Clark had homered earlier. And the Rangers with a 7-5 advantage as they are going to the 8th inning. Matt Whiteside is ready to come in for Texas. Dean Palmer has a couple of hits in the game. Tim Salmon also 2 for 3. We'll keep you posted on this throughout the program. And Dave, last year's Cy Young Award winner has a losing record this year in McDowell, although pitching well tonight. But must be gearing up when you face a guy like Randy Johnson. A great matchup of 2 pitchers and some great hitters in this game.
Well, you know, the way Randy Johnson, you talked about this 17-3 over his last 25 starts. Most pitchers, I mean, would be human and say, hey, I just want to try to keep my team in this game. But Jack McDowell's the type of guy who takes it as a personal challenge. He loves to face the absolute best, and McDowell is starting to get back on his game after an absolutely lousy start. But it isn't very often, Chris, you get to see 2 of the best pitchers in the game facing the 2 most feared hitters in the league in one given night, and it happened tonight. Frank Thomas in the first inning. Randy Johnson knows from Nolan Ryan, who struck out Frank Thomas 14 out of 15 career at-bats. We're not throwing anything soft to the big hurt. We are pounding him with heat, and more heat. That's 2 balls, 2 strikes, first time up, and more gas. He struck him out the second time up on a fastball as well. And for Junior, McDowell's best pitch is a splitter. First pitch to Junior, splitter out in front. Then what? Fastball. Now make him think I'm going to come in again, but then you speed up the bat. We talked about that in the earlier show. Curveball, pulled foul. He's sinking fastball in, he gets another splitter, and Jack McDowell goes with his best pitch, strikes out the game's hottest hitter in Ken Griffey Jr. But two of the absolute best, and right now the pitching is prevailing tonight in that ball game.
And McDowell, a free agent after this season, and has let it be known he plans on being out of Chicago, Dave. Mike Piazza back in the lineup for the Dodgers tonight after he left the previous night with a bruised heel. Last year's Rookie of the Year, a serious MVP candidate for this year. But Jeff Bagwell put his own spin on that in the first game of the L.A.-Houston series, following up his 3-homer game tonight. He was looking in and playing defense on Henry Rodriguez. Pedro Stasio starting for the Dodgers and talking a little trash here to Craig Biggio. In the third inning, a 1-0 Dodger lead, and Biggio trashes this pitch. His third homer, a solo shot to tie the game at 1. Next batter, Jeff Bagwell. It's up there. It's out there. But Brett Butler is back there for the out. Bagwell went 1 for 4 with 2 deep flyouts. In the 7th, this was a big fly. Mike Piazza, a 2-run bomb. His 16th homer. Dodgers with a 4-2 advantage. Piazza had a couple of hits. Stasio struck out 8 working into the night. Somebody in the Dodger bullpen actually got a save. We kid because we care. Piazza now 67 runs batted in. Giants and the Rockies at Mile High. Salvador Torres back in the rotation for San Francisco. After hitting Galarraga, he hits Charlie Hayes. Said he didn't mean to throw at either one of them. And Don Baylor, who's been hit a lot over his career, makes sure nothing gets out of control. Tie game in the 7th, 2-all. Howard Johnson pinch hitting. He had been complaining about playing time and opportunity, and delivers here. 6th home run of the year. Galarraga also homered as the Rockies win, and Torres loses his 5th straight decision. Reportedly had been having a tough time blending his lifestyle as a baseball player with that of being a Jehovah's Witness. Charlie Hayes, by the way, will be reevaluated by a specialist, headed for the DL. Roberto Mejia expected to be called up. Liriano and Castilla could share third base. On to the Braves and the Phillies at Veterans Stadium. And Bobby Munoz, who came over to the Phils in the Terry Mulholland deal, facing Roberto Kelly, who can't check his swing, and that is a strikeout. Jim Fregosi, big fan of baseball tonight, no doubt watching tonight because he wants to see how this got out of the park. Bobby Munoz, his pitcher, off Kent Merker. First career homer for Munoz. Last Sunday he had 3 hits and drove in a couple, and Leo Mazzoni, he hates when that happens. Then at the bottom of the 6th, Mickey Morandini up with 2 on, grounds the ball to right. David Justice doesn't come up with it cleanly. Tom Marsh, who was called up when Dykstra went on the DL, scores. Kevin Stocker is in, and then Morandini keeps on hustling. A single and a 3-base error. The Phillies go on to win at 7-1. Munoz said he's keeping the bat that he hit that home run with as a souvenir. He's batting .357 this season. Doug Jones worked the 9th and has not allowed a run now in 19 consecutive innings. Dave, a moment ago, we saw the power of Piazza and Bagwell, the 3-homer game the previous night for Jeff. And when you look at their swings, from your point of view, where does most of their strength, where's it generated from?
Well, it really comes from their hands. It's kind of unusual from the standpoint. Both of these guys are a little bit later bloomers than Ken Griffey Jr. I mean, you know, Griffey, last year hit 45 at age 23. Piazza was just breaking in at age 25. Jeff Bagwell's 26 now, but they do have great strength in their hands, and that's where they seem to get all their power from. Bagwell, his key is to weight. He's got power to all fields, but look at the tremendous extension, but the strength in the hands. Both of these guys utilize weight training, but they do it right. They work on the strength in their hands and their forearms and their wrists. They do a lot of squeezing. I know Piazza does, and I have to believe that Bagwell does as well. But they just have tremendous power, and you see Piazza with that great follow-through. He actually, I wonder how he keeps from hurting his back because that bat comes all the way around. But the key for both of them is wait, and then throw those tremendously strong hands at the ball. Here's a grand slam last Sunday against Kent Bottenfield. But both of them are just so strong through this area, and they utilize the weight training. They don't care about getting big through the chest or the back. They don't care about being real, incredible hulks in their uniform. They want to have baseball strength, and that comes in this area here. I see too many baseball players, especially youngsters, doing the bench presses and all that. That doesn't help you with baseball strength. In fact, it inhibits you. Man, both very likable superstars, too, who, if they keep this up and their teams continue to play well, one of them could wind up being the MVP, Dave. All right, later in the show, we'll look at the streaking Reds and their streaking hitter. Up next, the Royals and Twins, a couple of teams who need to do some climbing in the AL Central. One of them was on the run.
Also the Yankees and Indians. Did they ever get to finish that game from last night? About last night. That's a heck of a movie. We'll show you the video here when we come back. Baseball Tonight, updating games in progress. It's our job. It's what we do. Keith Mitchell off Jack McDowell. That's Kevin's cousin. Bottom of the 8th, his 4th homer, a solo shot. So it's now a 2-1 White Sox lead. Randy Johnson, 10 strikeouts through 8 innings. We'll let you know as soon as this one is final. Remember, Griff and Frank Thomas both struggling so far against the exceptional pitchers. Well, in the recently released movie Little Big League, a child has left ownership of a major league team and makes himself the manager. That team in the world of make-believe is the Minnesota Twins. In the real world, Tom Kelly still running the show, and the Royals and the Twins looking for a happy ending as they're facing each other in Minnesota in a Central Division battle, trying to move upward. Vince Coleman walked by Pat Mahomes on 4 pitches.
Goes Coleman.
With Brian McRae batting, Coleman running his 35th steal. Later scored to give the Royals a 1-0 lead. Greg Gagne, former Twin, upended by Chuck Knobloch. 3rd inning now. Mahomes walks Coleman again, and he's stealing again. 2nd of the night, 36 for the season. McRae with a fly ball to right, puck it under it. Coleman trying to tag and go to 3rd, but Kirby nails him. Nice tag there by Scott Leyes, and then 1-0 in the 4th with a man on for Bob Hamlin. The Hammer, 450 feet, his 12th home run of the year. Joyner scores ahead of him. Terry Shumpert added a homer. Mark Gubicza goes 7 innings, and Puckett had 2 hits to tie Rod Carew for most in Twins history at 2,085. Coleman, 37 steals now for the season. Red Sox and Brewers in Milwaukee. Joe Hesketh going for Boston. Former Red Sox Jody Reed with a shot toward former Brewer and former Red Sox. Back for the Red Sox, Tom Bernanski with the catch. Red Sox leading 2-1, 1 on and 1 out. Greg Vaughn with a 2-run homer, his 16th, so the Brewers lead, and then 5-3 in the 8th. Valentin with a fly over the glove of Matt Mieske, a 2-run double, tied at 5. 2 batters later, Andre Dawson, a 3-run homer, his 2nd of the game. The Red Sox had an 8-5 lead. Then in the bottom of the 8th, Greg Harris pitching, 2 on. Kevin Seitzer, up, out, gone, ties the game at 8. Bernie, busy tonight. In a rain delay at the moment in the 11th, still tied. Seitzer's 3-run homer was a pinch hit shot. Andre Dawson, 4 for 6. He's driven in 4, and as we mentioned, 2 homers. The Brewers coming to bat in that rain delay. We'll let you know once they get back to playing. Speaking of rain delays, hey, wake up. Finishing the game from Friday night on Saturday. Yankees and Indians. New York had the 9-5 lead. Jerry DiPoto pitching for Cleveland. Jim Leyritz batting, and he wins the battle. The solo homer. Yankees go on to win at 11-6, although Bell and Maldonado did have home runs for Cleveland. Mulholland winning for the first time in more than a month. Cleveland 5-13 now in games started by left-handers. Pat Kelly goes on the DL. Dave Silvestri called up by the Yankees. The scheduled game between the Yanks and Indians was rained out. Well, it didn't rain in Toronto. They have the Sky Dome, so they don't have to worry about that. Devon White called out on strikes. Worth another look on the overhead cam. Chris Hoyles makes a nice stretch. Toronto really struggling. Top of the 8th, tied at 1. Guzman delivers, and Cal Ripken, a 2-run homer to left. His 9th of the season. He's driven in 50 runs. Orioles go on to win at 4-1. The Jays lose their 7th straight, their longest skid since '91. Lee Smith with his 25th save, and the O's 5-0 against Toronto this season. Tigers and A's in Oakland. 8th inning, 1-1, 2 out. Bases loaded. Joe Baber, he hates when that happens. Scott Heyman scores, and the A's lead 2-1. And then on the 9th, 2 out, runners at 1st and 2nd. Who do you go to? It was like the good old days. Dennis Eckersley gets Travis Fryman to secure the win for Mark Aker, who's 4-0. Eck with his 11th save. Remember, he blew 4 of his first 7 earlier this year. There was talk that he might go to Cleveland in a trade. He has the no-trade clause, but said he might okay that. Mark McGwire, by the way, did not play in the game for the A's, still listed day-to-day with that sore heel. And Dave, as bad as the A's have been previously, they could be within 5.5 games of first in the West if Texas would lose. We know how shaky the West has been, but nevertheless, Oakland is playing better ball. Why? Well,
for the very reason that I picked them to win the division in spring training, and that was because their starting pitching looked terrific. The starting pitching over the last 11 games has had a 2.79 ERA, but it's a different cast of characters. It's guys like Darling, who was there originally, and Ontiveros. Bobby Witt had that 14 strikeout, 1-hit performance. Van Poppel is settling down a little bit. Mark Akers coming out of the bullpen, and the Eck is starting to pitch very well. Sierra's had 14 RBIs during this 11-game streak. Gates and Henderson are healthy again. So they're starting to play some pretty good baseball, and the A's could get back in this thing if, and that's a big if the starting pitching continues to go like they have been lately.
Yeah, actually in spring training, too, a number of the Texas players said that was the team they feared the most was the Oakland A's, and they're still in the chase. All right, as we continue here on Baseball Tonight, the Reds go for 7 in a row, and Barry Larkin tries to get 18 straight. Hal Morris, well, he was just going for third. I'll show you how it turned out if you stay with us. Baseball Tonight, checking in on the Rangers and Angels in Anaheim. Chris Carpenter in the 8th with 1 out. Chili Davis. Tough play for Esteban Beltre. Ends up being a 2-run single. DeSarcina and Easley are in, so California has moved in front of the AL West leading Rangers 8-7 as they play the 8th. Bo Jackson pinch hit and doubled in Greg Myers to make it 7-6. So the Angels rallying against Texas. Well, Cincinnati can get pretty hot in the summertime. In fact, lately it's been downright steamy. At least the Reds have been hot and steamy. Cincinnati, the league's top hitting team with a 6-game winning streak, going against the Padres tonight at Riverfront. Joey Hamilton, the starter for San Diego. Pete Schurik opening for the Reds. Derek Bell in the top of the first trying to pick off Tony Gwynn. Larkin changes his mind. He's worried about Craig Shipley over at third. And they do get the lead runner. Shipley is out. Gwynn is safe, but in scoring position for Derek Bell to get him home. And he just does slip one on the carpet under the glove of Larkin. Gwynn is in. It's 1-0 Padres. Top of the third, Johnny Ruffin in. Eddie Williams down the left field line to get Gwynn and Bell home. Part of a 3-run inning. Padres up now 4-0. And Cincinnati batting in the bottom of the 4th. Joey Hamilton.
They're among the biggest.
Bip Roberts, a one-time Red with a nice play to force Hal Morris. Then bottom of the 9th, Hamilton going for the complete game shutout. Tony Fernandez, a one-time Padre. And the Padres win it 6-0 for Hamilton. First shutout and complete game of his career. 4-2 now. His ERA at 1.78. Ricky Gutierrez had 3 hits. Barry Larkin did extend his hitting streak to 18 games. Pirates and Mets at Shea. Zane Smith trying to get his 4th win at his last 5 starts. Brett Saberhagen off of him. A watch. Carlos Garcia. Get it? Got it? Good. And Orlando Merced ripping one at Jeff Kent, who stretches and gets him at first. Merced had another shot in the 3rd, a 3-run homer, his 4th of the season. Pirates go on to win their 5th straight. Alejandro Pena on his birthday with a 6th save and 7 chances. Saberhagen making his first start since he complained that he was being treated like a 5th starter. He struck out 7. Marlins and the Expos in Montreal. Charlie Huff knuckling.
Stands in.
Watch Chuck Carr. He can flat out play defense. Robbing Marquise Grissom of the hit. 2nd inning. Huff pitching to Lansing, and that one got away. Will Cordero is in. Montreal leads 1-0. They made it 3-0 in the 2nd. Moises Alou, get out of here. Home run number 14 in the Expos, up 5-0. Marlins battle back to get within 2. Chuck Carr with a runner at 2nd, flies out to Lou Frazier, who alertly nails Kurt Abbott to double him up. Frazier drove in 3. The Expos knock off the Marlins. 5 Montreal players were not even born when Charlie Huff made his major league debut in 1970. And Dave, the Padres had the same record, or just about, as they had a year ago on the anniversary of the Sheffield trade. And with young pitchers like Ashby and Hamilton joining Annie Bennis, there's a good core here, at least a promising core for a team that hopefully can turn it around.
You know, there really is. There was so much talk about the fire sale last year, but Randy Smith, the general manager of the Padres, kept maintaining, look, we got some young players. We didn't just sell these guys for cash, maybe like the Red Sox did with Babe Ruth and Connie Mack did in the old days, or Charlie Finley tried to do, but they felt like they got some quality pitchers back, and it's really starting to tell. I mean, tonight, Joey Hamilton, the youngster, their #1 draft choice a couple of years ago, he extended his record to 4-2, 1.78. This was his only strikeout, but a good riding fastball, stays ahead in the count, gets the final out on a bouncer by Tony Fernandez to Gutierrez. But he's come up, and all along, Randy Smith said, when this guy comes, he's going to be very, very special. But Ashby's had a 2.01 ERA since the middle of June. Bennis 3-0. Trevor Hoffman, the guy they got in the Sheffield trade, one of the guys, 15 out of 17 saves. Donnie Elliott, a guy they got in the McGriff deal, kind of maybe a throw-in, 1.64 in relief. So let me tell you something, folks. The Padre pitching staff is slowly molding into one of those that might be compared within the next year or two to Atlanta and maybe Montreal, what I consider the 2 best pitching staffs in the National League right now. They got some terrific arms over there.
Really? You think they could be that good? All right, Dave, we not only update baseball, but boxing as well. Vinny Pazienza wins a 12-round unanimous decision over Roberto Duran to win the IBC Super Middleweight Championship tonight. More on SportsCenter that comes your way at 2:40 Eastern Time. When we continue here on Baseball Tonight, we'll update the games. The White Sox and the Mariners, the Rangers and the Angels. Also show you a 25-year-old rookie in Chicago who had Cub fans on their feet. Baseball Tonight, checking in on the Cardinals and Cubs at Wrigley. And Kevin Foster, his 6th career start.
Pitch for the Cubs.
Gets Gerald Perry to bounce into the 4th, 6-3 double play. Had a no-hitter going until the 7th inning. Steve Buechele helps him out with his 9th home run of the year. And the Cubs go on to win it 3-1. Foster crediting his changeup with making him better. Tom Trebelhorn was booed when he removed Foster from the game, but Randy Myers eventually saved it, his 15th of the season. Time to check the home run list. Listen closely and scream along at home. Buechele, as you saw, hit one out. Hojo and Galarraga homered to help the Rockies knock off the struggling Giants. See if I can scream. Baseball Tonight, checking in on the Angels and Rangers at Anaheim. J.T. Snow, son of Jack Snow, former Notre Dame and Ram wide receiver with a 2-out, 3-run homer. He's second, and the Angels are bombing Texas pitching. They have come from behind to build a 12-7 advantage as they go to the 9th. White Sox lead the Mariners 2-1, 1 out. Bottom of the 9th in the Kingdome, Ken Griffey is batting now against Jack McDowell. And the Red Sox and the Brewers are still in a rain delay, tied at 8. For Dave Campbell, I'm Chris Myers. Thanks for watching Baseball Tonight. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.